Hello everyone, it's Bryce Kirk here with another weekly segment of the Tiger Sports Corner. For this week, I will be going over some scores from the past week of Pacific Athletics, as well as highlights of my favorite game for the week, followed by some sports news around the world including UFC, NBA, and the upcoming MLB season. To start off with some highlighted scores from the past week, we'll start with men's baseball. Unfortunately, this week's games were canceled due to health and COVID precautions, and the Tigers now prepare for an upcoming game against Sacramento State Monday, then a 4-game series against CSU Bakersfield this upcoming weekend. Now moving on to men's basketball, they had a week of games going 2 for 1, with wins over University of San Diego and the University of San Francisco, while falling to St. Mary's in a hard-fought game. This week finished off the men's basketball season as they finished 9-8, and now move on to the WCC Championship as they will face either Santa Clara or Portland on Friday, March 5th. Unfortunately, the men's soccer team had a tough week going 0 for 2, losing 2 close games to San Francisco and San Diego. But they look to bounce back as they look to play Portland and Santa Clara in the upcoming weeks, hoping to gain some momentum as they move further into their season. Lastly, I'd like to cover women's basketball, as they have just recently wrapped up their season with an amazing week, winning the 5 games of their schedule with recent wins over schools like Pepperdine, Loyola Marymount, San Diego, and St. Mary's. They now look to play St. Mary's once again in the WCC Championship with tons of confidence knowing they had just beat them, and hopefully they finish with the same result. So that being said, my game of the week was women's basketball with their strong season finish against St. Mary's, dominating the St. Mary's Gills 73-54. In their final home game as a Tiger, standout Valerie Higgins won the hardworking player of the game again with her 35th career double-double as a Tiger, and she led the team with 19 points, 14 rebounds, and finished shooting 7 and 8 in her 35 minutes of play. Women's basketball goes into the WCC Championship with their confidence very high, as it has been, and look to continue their win streak. On to some professional sports. We will start with some highlights from this last week's UFC Fight Night main event, as number 3 ranked heavyweight Derek Lewis took on the number 2 ranked Curtis Blades. Derek Lewis went into this fight as a clear underdog to Blades, and as many thought Blades would make easy work of Lewis, until 1 minute and 26 seconds into the second round, Lewis caught him with a right hand, knocking him out and coming home with the win. This surges Derek Lewis into the talks of an upcoming title fight. The UFC has really blown into the scene this year and has had some amazing fight cards coming up for a lot of fans to see. Moving on to the MLB, spring training baseball has officially begun, as 28 for 30 teams played in their first games today. The format of the spring training games has changed up a bit, as instead of the usual 9 innings, they're now playing 7. We still got a great look at some of the talent for this upcoming season, though. My notable standout of the day was the Baltimore Orioles star outfielder Trey Mancini, who got to finally step back onto the diamond after sitting out last year while battling stage 3 colon cancer and successfully beating it. Mancini finished the day 1 for 2 with a single, and as a spectator, it was amazing to see him step on the field again after that amazing and long-fought battle that he's been through. We look forward to covering more baseball as the season progresses. But to wrap up the MLB, I'd like to make my picks for who I think will finish the year the strongest and compete in the October month as the World Series month. So for the AL, I picked the Tampa Bay Rays once again, knowing that they didn't lose really any key players this offseason, as well as seeing how they played together last year. I think I'm going to kid them again for the pick for the AL. As for the NL, it was tough, but I'm going to go with the San Diego Padres. They made some key signings this offseason with players such as the former Cy Young Blake Snell and standout Yu Darvish. I think they'll surprise a lot of teams, and they'll make some headway into the World Series this year. To finish off my weekly recap, I'd like to highlight one last amazing African American athlete for Black History Month, and my pick was former MLB superstar, first-time Ball Hall of Famer, the great Jackie Robinson. and how amazing he was to the game of baseball and how amazing of a person he was. Before breaking into the MLB in 1947, there had never been an African American player in the league until Jackie Robinson broke that color barrier. And he did something that, a lot of people thought couldn't have been done. He paved the way for the African American baseball players and all African American athletes to this day. The sacrifices that he gave to play the game he loved and the change he made around the country is really unmatched and will never be forgotten. April 15th of every MLB season is now Jackie Robinson Day to remember everything he did for the game and allowing all players to wear his number 42 so they can see each other as equal and play the game. I want to thank you guys for joining us today, and I hope you have had an amazing week, and I hope you have a good week coming up, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.